Welcome to join us. Let's start our lesson on making effective presentation. We will talk about how to describe graphs. First of all, we will talk about why it is important to use graphs in presentations. Then we will learn about types of graph, steps of graph description, and useful expressions for describing graphs. So, what are graphs and why do we use graphs? Graphs are visual forms that help people to understand sets of numbers. In a presentation, graphs help us visualize statistics and display trends. Good presenters could use different types of graphs to show relationships among different sets of numbers. These visual forms help presenters to simplify the numerical data and highlight trends in the data. So, how can we describe a graph? There are mainly three steps. We first describe the title, which helps the audience understand what the graph is about. We may say, the graph shows the company's share price during the last year. Secondly, we will engage the audience by using expressions such as you can see. Thirdly, we can use appropriate expressions or phrases to describe the trends and movements in the graphs. There are several types of graphs such as charts, tables, and diagrams. Charts are used to show the relationship between numbers or measurements that change. Tables show detailed pieces of information, especially facts or numbers, by arranging them in rows and lines. A diagram represents a drawing that explains what an object is or how a process or system works. Here are some visual images to help you understand types of graph. Bar graph is often used to compare numbers. Line graphs help present the patterns and trends over time. Pie chart is useful to demonstrate the proportion. Tables show data in columns and rows and focus on values. Diagrams are useful to illustrate parts of something or a flow of information. There are a variety of descriptive words and phrases to describe graphs. We may use different expressions to describe the rise in number or amount, such as sharp rise, upward trend, increase, growth, and climb. If the number or amount is in similar conditions, we could use remain steady or be constant. Ways to describe decrease include steep fall, tumble, decline, and collapse. Different from rise or fall, level off means that the trend stops going up or down and remains at the same level. Fluctuate is a common word to describe ups and downs of a trend. As you can see from the line graph, A indicates the lowest point. We may use the word spike in B to describe a situation in which a sudden sharp increase occurs. C demonstrates the highest point of the trend. We could say the sales figure reaches a peak of $1,300 in July. So now, let's try to practice what we have learned. Let's look at practice 1. How would you describe the trend from February to April? There was an upward trend in sales from February to April. How would you describe the trend between August and September? There was a sharp rise in sales between August and September. Let's look at practice 2. How would you describe the trend between May and June? The sales level off between May and June. How would you describe the trend from September to November? There was a steep fall in sales from September to November. Let's look at practice 3. Please read the statement and choose the best answer. You are right. The best answer is B, reached. We use reach a peak to describe the highest point of a trend. Now let's look at practice 4. Please read the statement and choose the best answer. Well done. The best answer is C, remained. We use remained steady because as you can see from the graph, there is no much change from April to May. Okay, let's go with a more challenging task, the quiz. Question 1. Fluctuated is the best one. Graph B shows the money Tony made last week. As you can see, Tony's wages has fluctuated from $0 to $60. We use fluctuate to describe ups and downs of a trend. Okay, question 2. Increased could be a possible choice because the graph describes a rise, so we can say the wage increased. This now leads us to the last section of today's lesson review. While using graphs, the visual images allow us to successfully visualize statistics, display trends, and reach the audience effectively. There are several steps to use a graph. Describe the title first, then use expressions to engage the audience. Finally, focus on describing the trends and movement with appropriate wordings. Here is a quick review of useful language to describe graphs. To describe the rise in number, we could use sharp rise, upward trend, increase, growth, and climb. To describe similar conditions, we could use remain steady or be constant. To describe decrease, we could use default, tumble, decline, and collapse. To describe the trend stops going up or down and remains at the same level, we could use level off. However, we could use fluctuate to describe ups and downs of a trend. Good job! This is the end of lesson for today.